Maesters' Notes, a collection of essays, letters, and other accounts preserved within the citadel of Old Town, and presented by Maester Yandel, 292 AC.
Side Accounts, and Ancient History. The Long Night. Part 1.
Though the citadel has long sought to learn the manner by which it may predict the length and change of seasons, all efforts have been confounded. Sept and Bath appear to argue, in a fragmentary treatise, that the inconstancy of the seasons was a matter of magical art rather than trustworthy knowledge. Maester Nichols' The Measure of the Days, otherwise a laudable work containing much of use, seems influenced by this argument. Based upon his work on the movement of stars in the firmament, Nicholl argues unconvincingly that the seasons might once have been of a regular length, determined solely by the way in which the globe faces the sun in its heavenly course. The notion behind it seems true enough, that the lengthening and shortening of days, if more regular, would have led to more regular seasons, but he could find no evidence that such was ever the case, beyond the most ancient of tales.
Part 2.
Archmaester Fomas's Lies of the Ancients, though little regarded these days for its erroneous claims regarding the founding of Valyria and certain lineal claims in the Reach and Westerlands, does speculate that the others of legend were nothing more than a tribe of the First Men, ancestors of the wildlings that had established itself in the far north. Because of the long night, these early wildlings were then pressured to begin a wave of conquest to the south. That they became monstrous in the tales told thereafter, according to Fomas, reflects the desire of the Night's Watch and the Starks to give themselves a more heroic identity as saviors of mankind, and not merely the beneficiaries of a struggle over dominion.
The Rise of Valyria. Part 1.
In such fragments of Bath's unnatural history as remain, the Septon appears to have considered various legends examining the origins of dragons and how they came to be controlled by the Valyrians. The Valyrians themselves claimed that dragons sprang forth as the children of the 14 Flames, while in Karth, the tales state that there was once a second moon in the sky. One day, this moon was scalded by the sun and cracked like an egg, and 1,000,000 dragons poured forth. In Ash-Eye, the tales are many and confused, but certain texts, all impossibly ancient, claim that dragons first came from the Shadow, a place where all of our learning fails us. These Ash-Eye histories say that a people so ancient they had no name first tamed dragons in the Shadow and brought them to Valyria, teaching the Valyrians their arts before departing from the annals. Yet, if men in the Shadow had tamed dragons first, why did they not conquer as the Valyrians did? It seems likelier that the Valyrian tale is the truest. But there were dragons in Westeros, once, long before the Targaryens came, as our own legends and histories tell us. If dragons did first spring from the 14 Flames, they must have been spread across much of the known world before they were tamed. And, in fact, there is evidence for this, as dragon bones have been found as far north as Ib, and even in the jungles of Sothorios. But the Valyrians harnessed and subjugated them as no one else could.
Part 2.
What now remains of the once proud empire of Old Gis is a paltry thing, a few cities clinging like sores to Slaver's Bay, and another that pretends to be Old Gis come again. For after the doom came to Valyria, the cities of Slaver's Bay were able to throw off the last of the Valyrian shackles, ruling themselves in truth rather than playing at it. And what remained of the Giscari swiftly re-established their trade in slaves, though where once they won them by conquest, now they purchased and bred them. Bricks and blood built Astapor, and bricks and blood her people, an old rhyme says, referring to the red brick walls of the city and of the blood shed by the thousands of slaves who would live, labor, and die constructing them. Ruled by men who name themselves the Good Masters, Astapor is best known for the creation of the eunuch slave soldiers called the Unsullied, men raised from boyhood to be fearless warriors who feel no pain. The Astapori pretend that they are the lockstep legions of the old empire come again. But those men were free, and the Unsullied are not. Of Yunkai, the Yellow City, little needs to be said, for it is a most disreputable place. The men who rule it, calling themselves the Wise Masters, are steeped in corruption, selling bed slaves and boy whores, and worse. The most formidable of the cities along Slavers Bay is ancient Marine, but like the rest, it is a crumbling place, its population a fraction of what it once supported at the height of the old empire. Its walls of many-colored bricks contain endless suffering, for the great masters of Marine train slaves to fight and die at their pleasure in the blood-soaked fighting pits. All three cities have been known to pay tribute to passing Khalasars, rather than face them in open battle, but the Dothraki provide many of the slaves that the Giscari train and sell, slaves taken from their conquests and sold in the flesh markets of Marine, Yunkai, and Astapor. The most vital of the Giscari cities is also the smallest and the newest, and no less a pretender to greatness. New Gis, left to its own devices on its isle. There, its masters have formed iron legions in mimicry of the legions of the old empire. But unlike the Unsullied, these are free men, as the soldiers of the old empire were.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to stay updated, and be the first to watch newly uploaded videos.